As a secondary teacher in the social science sector, the history and culture of Vikings is one that's always been fascinating to me, and one I've never really seen explored on the big screen. While History Channel's Vikings television show gave us an exploration of their past on the small screen, I've long craved a massive, blockbuster sized heavy metal Viking epic. And now, finally, Robert Eggers and Alexander Skarsgård have given cinema audiences just that. The Northman is a uniquely bloody, brutal, visceral cinematic experience. The Northman really feels like a mismarketed movie. I'm not suggesting that it's bad. The trailers just had me sold on this huge, bloody, full-blown revenge epic with a smattering of lavish, dreamy visuals. And I definitely got that. Just slower. More methodical. Far more somber than I was expecting. This is not an audience-pleasing film like Gladiator was. And I'm not even sure that that's what I was expecting. But what I got, I felt down in my bones. The Northman is a gorgeous, brutal, haunting, epic tale steeped in blood and Viking lore. It's an experience that is 100% going to divide the casual audience walking in blind. And to be honest, that shouldn't come as a surprise. The film was directed by Robert Eggers, the man responsible for Witch, or Vivitch. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, and I'm almost positive someone in the comments below will correct me here anyways. He has also directed The Lighthouse, which itself was an insane experience. Eggers pulled some of his old acting crewmates along with him this time, with the returning Willem Dafoe and Anya Taylor-Joy, both of whom are excellent as usual. A couple of new actors have also joined him this time round, including Ethan Hawke, whom I've always loved, and Nicole Kidman, who I thought would be completely miscast, but was actually quite solid. She plays her role with both sympathy and cunning, and it's a very complicated and unusual role, which she very much excels in here. Björk also makes an appearance in a memorable, haunting scene as well, but the actor who was really the main attraction here was Alexander Skarsgård. This man was born for this role. He is a monster of a human being, and you buy him wholeheartedly as a feral berserker Viking on a warpath of revenge, no matter the cost. It's a very physical role with far less dialogue than you'd expect. He communicates in bursts of violence and cold, calculated stares that bore straight through your soul. It's an impressive, career-defining role, and it's very easy to see why he's been so desperate to collaborate on a film like this. He carries the film on his broad shoulders through and through. The plot of the film is very much a Shakespearean revenge epic, and was based on the same Viking legend that inspired Hamlet, or The Lion King, depending on which generation you were born to. It's nothing you haven't seen before. The story follows Amleth, a Viking prince who returns to avenge the murder of his father and kidnapping of his mother at the hands of his uncle Notskar Fjolnir. It's essentially a medieval Sons of Anarchy with less meandering. The film took a really unique and interesting approach to some of the more mythological elements of Viking culture, which I really liked. It was really well done how they handled the element of witchcraft and prophecy, as well as their approach to the awe-inspiring Valkyries. There is a blending of haunting, dreamlike sequences and stark, gritty realism, but the beautiful, almost ethereal cinematography binds them together so well that it's really left to the audience's interpretation as to whether it's literal or just merely implied. The visuals are trippy, and just as likely to inspire awe as much as tension. I really liked the long takes that Eggers utilized as well. They're very, very tense. That's a good description for this film, actually. Tense. This was a tense film. Not in a white-knuckle, pure adrenaline thrill ride type of way, but in a suspenseful, moody, oppressive chill in the pit of your stomach kind of way. The tone of this film makes it very clear that nobody is getting out without blood on their hands. And it's impressively bleak. And it feels completely authentic to this era. I think it's important to note that I really feel like this movie is going to divide its audience. The tone of this film is extremely dour, and even the film's protagonist, Amleth, played by Skarsgård, is very hard to get behind. His character is a Viking berserker, and he does some absolutely brutal shit to people I'm not even sure entirely deserved it. The whole film just plays towards this great, big, inevitable tragedy, but that really shouldn't come as a surprise considering the source of this particular story. It was honestly mind-blowing how much effort was put into adhering to historical accuracy here. With a budget somewhere in the region of $70 to $90 million, this is a big budget, brutal, and I mean bleakly brutal, Viking revenge film that very really shouldn't exist in contemporary multiplexes alongside superhero franchises. For that reason alone, I'm impressed with the sheer commitment to the total vision Eggers has. Make no mistake though, this movie is not Gladiator, or Braveheart, and any of those other star-studded historical epics for that matter. The film is a slow burn with bursts of violence that have impact and weight. It's occasionally very bloody, but more than often implies this violence, leaving much of it to the imagination of the viewer, which I still think works really well in this regard. This is where the runtime of the film actually aids in this particular vision. The movie is 2 hours and 17 minutes long, and it feels long. It really drags out the revenge plot to the point where the tension feels palpable. And by the time the brimstone and fire climax rolls around, I almost felt complicit in the horrific violence that had occurred. The soundtrack for this film is pretty much perfect. In fact, that's why I believe this movie needs to be seen at the cinema. It's stripped back and startlingly primal. The thrumming drums rattle in the bones of your body. It shrieks and groans and roars. It's absolutely incredible. It's reason enough to see this movie at the cinema. It's pretty evident that this was a passion project from all of the people that were involved. I almost guarantee it won't make its budget back. It's so disconnected and detached from what the common audience goes to see at the cinemas these days. It will end up on streaming. Hopefully it'll pick up an audience there. It's a very adult, very dramatic, and extremely moody period piece with slices of horror imagery and brutal violence. There's an organic, restrained filmmaking at work here, employing long camera shots that linger in the somehow barren but also lavish landscapes. There are long stretches of nothing but tension and suffocating, moody atmosphere. And then it ends with perhaps one of the greatest movie climaxes of all time. And I loved it. Every single minute of it. Even some of the scenes that were so strange and off-putting it elicited awkward and unintentional laughter from the audience I saw it with. The Northman is a weird beast of a movie, wholly committed to the authenticity of the Viking culture. It's a phenomenal and fantastic piece of cinema, but it's not going to be for everyone. I personally loved the experience of watching this at the cinemas, but my girlfriend absolutely loathed it. And it's really not hard to see why. It will divide its audience. I'm not even that interested in revisiting it anytime soon, but that doesn't diminish the experience I had in watching it. The Northman is an incredible piece of movie making, and I would give it a B+ rating. I hope this film does well, even though I know it won't. It's hardcore and gloomy, atmospheric and violent, and absolutely unapologetically, unrelentingly bleak. It's a complete departure from the mainstream film that classifies most blockbusters in the multiplex today. But I still hope, because it's so unusual to see a big budget film that's epic in scope, that's aimed at adults. This is a movie for adults. And movies like this, I feel like they are becoming rarer and rarer. Disregard the promotional material for this film. The trailers missell it for the common audience. This is a character-driven period piece that is essentially a big-budget art house film with a more traditional narrative. The Northman is a masterpiece of cinematic experience. If you've had the chance to check it out, you should let me know what you think in the comments below. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Did it leave you cold? Did the film resonate with you the way it did me? As always, like and subscribe, because that's how I know I'm not actually just screaming into the abyss, and stay tuned for more coming soon. Later days.